Welcome to Polaris Academy Episode 3, The Akkadian Empire. Welcome to the third lesson of our series, because today we explore a turning point in history. And after the Sumerian city-states, we see the rise of a new power called the Akkadians. So we will learn how they created the first empire in the world and changed the way people live together. The Akkadians were a group of people who lived in central Mesopotamia, just north of Sumer, because they shared many ideas with the Sumerians. But they spoke a different language, so they eventually became very powerful and started to expand their land. The story of the Akkadians begins with a famous leader named Sargon the Great, because he was a brilliant general and a very ambitious man. So he led his army to conquer the Sumerian cities and united them under his control for the first time in history. By uniting many different cities and people, Sargon created the first empire in the world, because an empire is a large area where one leader rules over many different groups of people. So Sargon's empire stretched from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea. The capital city, Akkad. The Akkadian army was very strong and organized because Sargon used new weapons and smart tactics in battle. So he had thousands of soldiers who carried spears and bows, and this allowed him to protect his borders and conquer new lands easily. The Akkadian army was very strong and organized because Sargon used new weapons and smart tactics in battle. So he had thousands of soldiers who carried spears and bows, and this allowed him to protect his borders and conquer new lands easily. Sargon created a central government to manage his large empire, because it was too big for one person to control everything alone. So he appointed governors to rule each city and collect taxes to make the empire rich and stable. The Akkadians and Sumerians lived together and shared their cultures because they learned from each other. So the Akkadians began using cuneiform writing for their own language, and they also respected the Sumerian gods and temples. Trade and wealth. During the Akkadian Empire, trade became very safe and successful because the empire controlled the roads and the rivers, so merchants could travel long distances to bring gold, silver, and wood back to the cities of Mesopotamia. The Akkadians were famous for their beautiful art and detailed statues because they wanted to show the power of their kings, so they made sculptures out of bronze and stone that looked very realistic and strong. Sargon's grandson Naram-Sin was also a very famous king because he was a great conqueror like his grandfather. So he made a famous stone monument called a victory stele to celebrate his success in war and show his divine power. The Akkadian language became the main language of business and government because it was used across the whole empire, so people from different cities could communicate and work together more easily than ever before. To make trade fair, the Akkadians created standard weights and measures because they wanted everyone to use the same system for buying and selling goods. So this helped the economy grow and made the empire more organized. Life in the Akkadian Empire was organized, but strict, because the king had total power over the people. So while farmers continued to work the land, many people also became soldiers or government officials to serve the empire. After about 150 years, the Akkadian Empire began to grow weak because of internal problems and attacks from outside tribes. So eventually the empire ended. But the idea of a united government stayed in Mesopotamia forever. The Akkadians created the first empire in history because of the leadership of Sargon the Great, and they united different people under one government and used a strong army to keep peace. So their inventions in government and language shaped the future of all civilizations. The Sumerians were a very advanced people because they built the first cities, invented writing, and created the wheel. And they also developed math systems and irrigation to control the rivers. So their hard work and clever ideas started the story of human civilization. And we still use many of their inventions in our world today. What was the most important change made by the Akkadians? A. They moved all the people to the mountains. B. They stopped using the rivers for farming. C. They united many cities under one government. D. They invented the first stone tools. You have finished the lesson about the First Empire and Sargon. In our next lesson, we will travel to the city of Babylon to see King Hammurabi and his famous laws. Thank you for choosing Polaris Academy, and keep learning with us.